Okay, so in my weekly video from over here in Mallorca, we're going to be talking about the protests in Palma from this weekend. I'm going to be talking about air conditioning in hotels, and of course I'm going to give you my weekly weather forecast for the week ahead. Okay, so let's start by talking about the protests in Palma. Now, you will have seen the video. I'll link it at the end of this video if you haven't seen it. You will have heard about it being talked about in the national news and in the mainstream media too. But I wanted to address a few of those issues here because, well, my video has literally received hundreds and hundreds of comments, and some of them I think there's some points in there that I would just like to address. Now, first of all, I just want to acknowledge that if you did see the video and you saw the protests in Palma and you have been looking at news coverage, yes, it looks intimidating. Yes, it looks quite frightening as well if you do have a holiday booked coming over here. But I want to talk about the reality of why these protests took place as well, and whether you have anything to worry about if you're coming to the island. Now, while I do promote Mallorca, I promote the tourist resorts as well very much, and I try and make your holiday a lot easier coming over here to Mallorca. I try and simplify the process for you coming over here to Mallorca and give you the correct information. I decided to make the video on Saturday because I also want to highlight the issues that are going on here, and I didn't want to gloss over them and pretend that it wasn't happening, and also only leave you as well with the news that you're going to read in the mainstream media, because my goodness, that news has been sensationalized and it hasn't really been correct either. So let me just go through what probably you've seen as well, and also what is not really correct about it. Okay, so just to quote the Daily Mail here, and I'm sure many of you may well have seen this article because, well, it's a widely read publication worldwide. It stated police officers armed with batons wearing stab-proof vests surveyed the area as a demonstration from riot-packed police vans began at 7 p.m. local time. I mean, that in itself, that statement suggested that everything was about to kick off in Palma, and really it didn't. It was a peaceful protest. It also said as well, and this is what really annoyed me, that protesters left the march to confront foreigners and tell them to go home as they watched the demonstration go past. I saw many people I actually knew at the demonstration, and they came out of the demonstration. I saw a really old friend I hadn't seen there for a long time. She jumped out of the crowds to give me a hug as well. I wish I got that on camera, and I wish that my friends as well who I saw in the demonstration came to talk to me as well. They didn't want to be on camera, but many people know what I do here on the islands. They know I promote tourism in the resorts as well, and I try and make your experience better if you're coming over here on holiday. So no, people were not being heckled, foreigners were not being heckled, and I just have to say too that I went to the protest with admin Anne from the Facebook group. After the protest, we went to a very Mallorquin bar just a few metres away from where the protest was taking place. We were the only Brits in there. We were treated as any other customer was treated. We had a few drinks, we had a chat, and we left, and that was it. So please don't think, if you're coming over here on holiday, that you're going to be heckled in the streets and you're going to wake up to find placards outside your hotel. And also, you're not going to find graffiti either. So just want to make that point very, very clear. So take what you see in the mainstream media with a pinch of salt. It's going to get worse as we go on into the summer, and really those stories are there for clickbait as well, and probably to scare you as well into staying at home. So who knows? Anyway, so what I do want to cover is what the protests were all about. Now, this was a peaceful protest, and locals and residents did come together in their thousands, and I have to say, to make the statement to the government that there's just not enough affordable accommodation on the island. But what it does have everything to do with is the fact that a lot of accommodation has been purchased by maybe Northern Europeans who, because of the EU, can now freely snap up those cheap properties, illegally rent them out, or get tourist licenses, leaving a lack of availability of good rentals here for us locals. And I should know, because I've been here for just under 20 years, and the prices of rent here have doubled in recent years. It's incredibly hard to find any kind of rental for under €1,000 per month, and if you're on the minimum wage here, if you're earning between 12 and 1,500 euros, well, you can see how that just means that you're not going to be able to afford to live. So that's really what the protest was about. Yes, there were placards about tourists go home, but really this is, just as the lady said in my video, it's about over-tourism. There's too much tourism here, and the infrastructure here on the island is struggling to cope with it. So it was a protest really to the government, to the political parties, to do something about it. It's not a protest for anyone who's worked and saved hard to come over here to not enjoy their holidays. It's not about that, as bad as it looks. It really is about unhappy locals not being able to afford to live and work here on the island. weather. So all the comments as well that we had on the video, you know, suggesting that locals should be grateful, just, you know, it's not helpful. It's not helpful when people here are living in debt, struggling to survive, and also can't put a roof over their heads either. So just want to make that point too. Okay, so let's jump into the comments of the video that I made on Saturday about the protest in Palma. Let's check out what people have been saying, and I'm going to react to some of those comments as well and try and just bring a little bit of clarity to the conversation here, and hopefully to put your mind at rest too. So first comments here, which are very understandable as well. I can totally understand why they have been made. First comment: I have always loved going to Spain, but after seeing those protests, you don't feel welcome anymore. Followed by, well, this will be my last holiday in Spain because it's clear from the banners that tourists aren't welcome. Give them what they want and spend money in the countries where you are welcome. And also another comment for someone who's travelling to the Palma de Mallorca, which is on the east coast of the island. It's a popular tourist resort. They said, I've never been to this part of the world before. I'm travelling in July with my family and I don't know if it's kicking off here as well. Can someone please put my mind at rest? And finally, someone else said, never have I felt so intimidated on my up-and-coming holiday to your beautiful island. Well, I appreciate all of those comments. First thing I want to say is, it's not kicking off anywhere. It's not kicking off. We had this organised protest in Palma, but the resorts, as you can see, we've got plenty of people wandering by me today. They're enjoying a lovely holiday. You're not going to wake up in the morning to placards outside your building. In fact, there's no anti-tourism graffiti that I can see anywhere around the island too, and as you know, I'm in the resorts every single week. The resorts are full of happy holiday makers. I can assure you that this protest on Saturday is not going to impact your holiday. Will it impact what's going to be done about affordable accommodation on the island? I don't know, but one thing's for sure is that the businesses here support tourism. Our economy depends upon tourism. And I said this in last week's video too, that the tourism season here is so short. It runs from May till October with a little bit of extension into the end of March this year because of Easter and April. But we have a short tourism season, and we all remember the ravages of the pandemic a few years ago when our tourism resorts were left completely empty. We do not want this. This is not what it is about. So I feel dreadful that anyone feels intimidated about coming over here on holiday, but please come to the island, be rest assured that you are welcome and you're going to have a fantastic holiday. Okay, next comment says, maybe the government should stop building hotels and build more affordable housing for local people only. Well, I was speaking to the Mayor of Calvia about that a few weeks ago, and he mentioned that more affordable accommodation is being built in the Calvia area, so hopefully that may address the problems of finding workers in the resorts. Possibly, who knows? We'll see what happens in the future about that. But the main problem here is with illegal rentals. As I have said, it's about the Airbnb culture here that has taken up much of the affordable rentals. But really we have the same number of hotels that we have had years ago. Some of the hotels are actually being renovated to become more high ticket properties as well, with less rooms even. So the amount of tourism that we've seen double in the past 10 years is really down to, I do believe, the illegal rentals, the selling off of properties and the Airbnb culture quite possibly, and that's accounted for the swell of tourism here on the island, and that's what needs to be addressed really, and who knows how they're going to do that. I mean, you know, I think waving a magic wand may actually be in order here, but I mean, who knows how that's going to be addressed. We shall see in the future. Another comment as well saying, well, this could be anywhere in the world. And another comment saying, we have the same problems in tourist areas in Canada. Foreign-owned Airbnbs are the worst concept ever. Well, can't argue with that. Yes, we have seen it in Devon and Cornwall in the UK. I've also had comments as well from Australia, from London, from Miami, from all over the world, saying that they're seeing the same things happening worldwide. So it's not unique to Mallorca. Wherever you're going to go on holiday in the world, you may think you want to cancel your holiday and go elsewhere, but I'm afraid they're all suffering from the same ravages of tourism and this Airbnb culture too. So just bear that in mind before you're quick to cancel your holiday. It's happening everywhere. Somebody else commented that the blame has to be on the government and the people buying to that. Remember, no tourists, no money, and there has to be a balance. Well, yes, this is what the lady said in my video. Please watch that video. There has to be a balance where we can all live side by side and we can afford to live and work here, and you guys can also afford to come to the island too. So, and the final comment I'm just going to highlight on the screen here is somebody said, well, a whole lot of good protesting does these days. Let's wait and see, hey. Let's see what happens about this. But anyway, I'm going to drop in an interview that I did with LBC News this morning. Hear what I've said on the radio today and come right back after this as well. I'm going to talk about air conditioning in resorts. I'm also going to talk about the weekly weather forecast for the week ahead. And if you haven't done so already, consider hitting that subscribe button as well for all the latest news that you're going to get from Mallorca, as well for all the best holiday guides and travel tips too. But anyway, let's go and check out this LBC interview.
Thousands of people took to the streets of Palma in Mallorca over the weekend to protest against tourism on the island. They're highlighting poor living standards for locals. But Mayor Juan Amengual insists British people are always welcome.
The tourist industry for us is so important. It's our main industry, our main economy.
Well, Alexandra Smith runs the Mallorca Under the Sun YouTube channel, and Alexandra joins me live now on LBC News. Morning to you. Should we, though, Alexandra, do you think, all be rather, well, particularly, I suppose, us Brits, looking in on this protest, given how much tourism brings in revenue, no doubt, to Mallorca, and how much we love going there? Tell us more about the strength of feeling there, then, around the whole issue.
Right, first of all, I have to correct you because primarily the protest was really about the right to live here and to find affordable accommodation. It wasn't purely an anti-tourism protest. It was more about locals on the island trying to find somewhere to live, because over the past 8 to 10 years, a lot of property has been sold off. We've got lots of second homeowners here, and it's become increasingly difficult for with the rise of Airbnb as well, and people illegally renting out properties. It's been very, very hard for locals to be able to find somewhere affordable to live. So this was not a pure anti-tourism protest. I just want to make that very, very clear. It's just been very, very hard for local people to be able to afford to live and work here on the island.
So it's resentment then that's been building, which, to be fair, might not necessarily be down to foreigners coming in, but more to do with the local government not doing enough to help those locals.
100%. This is not about, it's not that we do not want tourism here. Of course we want tourism. And as a local here, I've been here for nearly 20 years. We've lived here with tourism for that time. It's our main income here. Tourists are welcome here in Mallorca, and I want to make that very, very clear. There are no attacks towards tourists coming over. The resorts are welcoming places for anyone coming here on holiday. And of course, the press have spun it around to make it sound that tourists are not welcome. It's not the case. We very much welcome tourists. It's just that the infrastructure here really is creaking at the edges, coping with the amount of people coming in. And a lot of that is down to illegal rentals, private rentals, and the Airbnb culture that you're seeing as well over in Cornwall too. So similar problems that we're seeing all over the world at the moment.
Well, indeed, it's happening everywhere. So give us a sense then of what locals are having to say, stump up for rental, you know, an average place to live in, and also how much are homes in Mallorca?
Okay, well, I live on the west side of Palma. I live about 5 minutes from Palma Nova and Magaluf. And 8 years ago, you could easily find a 2-bedroom rental here for about €750. Now you're lucky if you get a 2-bedroom rental for €1,500. So everything's doubled in price. The average salary here is around sort of €1,500. So you can see that your monthly salary doesn't go very far in terms of being able to find anywhere to live as well. And the same with purchasing a property here. It's that property prices are just out of reach for local people as well. It's almost impossible here for anyone to buy. So of course we're getting many people from richer Northern European countries coming in, buying up the properties, and then only using those properties for maybe a month a year or something like that. My apartment I used to actually live in, we had to move out of, and it was bought by Northern Europeans. And I know because I now live opposite it, and they visit for maybe a month in a year as well. So it's very, very hard here to find affordable accommodation. And that's really what the protest was about.
Protests, though, I was just reading earlier, it follows similar protests we gather in the Canary Islands and Ibiza earlier this month. The Balearics banned alcohol sales, for example, between 9:30 at night, 8 in the morning. People caught drinking in unauthorised areas faced a fine of up to €1,500. Just widening out our chat to end with on this protest. Do you think on that issue, and that is concerning tourism, that punishments like that are due to come into force in Mallorca? Might they? Or, have you got measures already underway to counter drunken behaviour, especially as we come into full-on holiday season?
Those restrictions only apply to a very, very small area, so around the Magaluf strip area, and it's only regarding supermarkets and the sale of alcohol after 9 p.m. at night. It doesn't apply to the whole island. It applies to the Playa de Palma in El Arenal and also to Magaluf, to that strip area as well. But it's not island-wide at all. But everyone is welcome to come here on holiday. You're going to find no resentment in the resort. The protest took place in the capital in Palma on Saturday night. It was a peaceful protest. Islanders came together to make a political statement really to the government. It wasn't against the tourists, but I just want to make the point, everyone is welcome here. And if you come here this summer, you're going to have a fantastic holiday.
And we look forward to it. Alexandra, really good to speak with you. Have a great weekend. Bank holiday here, of course. Alexandra Smith there, who runs the Mallorca Under the Sun YouTube channel.
Okay, so next island issue I want to talk about today is the subject of air conditioning. Now I'm sitting here, it's about 29 degrees, it's actually lovely and warm. I'm in t-shirt weather, haven't seen a jumper now for quite a few days, but we did have a question that came onto the Facebook group, the Mallorca Under the Sun Facebook group, from someone who said that the hotel that they are staying at on the islands at the moment is not putting on air conditioning. Now, this has been an ongoing issue here for the past few weeks because the weather that we've had over the past few weeks, we've had some low temperatures, we've had high temperatures, and unfortunately the air conditioning in some of the bigger hotels is actually controlled centrally. So there needs to be a decision made by the hotel manager as to whether they're going to put air conditioning on or not. Now, the temperatures are creeping up here as we're heading on into June, obviously, so guests are going to want to have the air conditioning on. There's obviously a huge cost implication for that if they think that people aren't going to be using it or it's going to be left on and it's not needed. And it's going to be an expense and it's going to be an environmental impact too. So what should you do about it if you don't have aircon in your hotel at the moment and you're waiting for the hotel to put that on? Well, the first thing I would say is check how that holiday has been sold, check the description of the holiday. If it says it includes aircon, then indeed go and complain to reception and complain to your rep as well, because it really does depend on how that holiday has been sold to you. Most of all though, rather than complaining on Facebook, go and talk to the hotelier, go and talk to the hotel manager and see what they can do about it. I suspect all the air conditioning is going to be put on now in hotels in the next coming days because we do have some high temperatures on the islands, but keep watching in this video. My weather forecast is coming up so you can see what the weather is going to be like. But my main piece of advice is if you have any issues in the hotel that you are staying in, go and talk to the hotel manager. If in doubt, go and talk to the rep. Okay, so what about the weather for the week ahead? Well, it's a little bit mixed at the moment actually today. It's absolutely roasting, and well, I should have had some ice with my coffee here, but let's have a look at the weather for the week ahead, for the week beginning the 27th of May. Now, we have a chance of a shower today. In fact, it's just sprinkled a little bit down here in Magaluf. The sun has come back out again, and no one's really bothered leaving the beach either. I think the beach is still the best place to be, but we do have a slim risk of showers, not only today, but also on Friday, Saturday, and on Sunday. That risk could diminish as the week goes on as well. It's very hard to forecast the weather, particularly if we have a low risk of rain too. Sometimes this rain never materialises. Sometimes we also get a heavy shower. So just be prepared if you're coming over. But the good news is that the cold weather seems to have left us now, and it's really lovely and warm. So even if it does rain, I wouldn't really worry too much. Now the UV index as well has been sneaking up, I've noticed. Yesterday on Sunday it was absolutely roasting. I'm seeing a lot of burnt tourists on the beach. If you're coming over, bring your sunscreen as well. It's a lot, even though the temperatures aren't in the mid to high 30s, it's very hot at the moment and the sun is going to burn you. So make sure you cover up in the sun. And we are going to be experiencing not only highs of 30 degrees today, but as we go on through the week, we're looking at highs of around 27 degrees. So it's actually still quite nice and pleasant to go to the beach. It's not too hot. And evenings as well are warming up to a very pleasant 17 degrees. I'd still say bring a cardigan or bring a jumper to go out in the evening. It's still not quite summer weather in the evenings just yet, but it's all good news really, warming up now for the summer. Okay everyone, I hope this video proved useful. I hope it's answered some of your questions about the protest that we've had over here in Mallorca. If you're coming over to any of the resorts, please don't worry. As I've said, you're going to any of the resorts, everyone is welcoming. You're not going to come across any problems in the resorts. You're not going to come across mass protests. Come on holiday, enjoy your holiday. You're going to have a fantastic time, and of course, you're very, very welcome. Okay everyone, thanks very much for watching. Find me on the Facebook group and on my Instagram, also called Mallorca Under the Sun, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Goodbye for now.